Breaking Barriers.
My name is Gary Bontrager. I'm with Breaking Barriers Podcast, and I want to welcome you to another episode. We were fortunate enough here to be in Indiana and kind of going down a different path. We were sitting in the middle of an Allis Chalmers shop. So Mark Gettinger, you're kind of the godfather of Allis Chalmers, I hear. And it's interesting how you ended up with those. And then sitting here with us is Tylan Reynolds. And I guess you're Mark's right-hand man at this point. So I'll maybe, we'll get into that relationship a little bit, but you help him pull tractors and work on them a lot. So Mark, thanks for letting us in your shop.
No problem.
Sitting behind you is another project of yours that you want to get in the seat of.
Yeah, I've been there about a year and we still ain't got it going yet.
Oh, you got parts laying around. It'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
So give me a little history. What got you into tractor pulling? How'd you start doing that?
Family, Dad started pulling when I was a teenager. Well, baby, really. I was sitting on Mom's lap and when I was a baby, you know, and Dad was pulling a G and dead weight pulls and stuff. And she'd be closing her eyes and screaming, you know, because he'd have the front end straight up in the air and everything. But that's what started us basically.
Yeah. So the dead weight pull, they just had what, like a wood or metal skid?
It is just cement blocks, well, big cement blocks on a pan about 8 by 10 feet long and stuff, and you had to pull it 15 feet. And if you pulled it 15 feet, then they added more weight, and you come back and did it again.
And it was on concrete, probably, or on the street?
It was on different things. It was either concrete, pavement, dirt.
Oh, okay. So you did do some
So it was
dirt.
various things and stuff. And then it progressed to basically the weight transfer sleds. Well, not really the weight transfer. That's where they had the bigger sleds that had people jump on board going down the track and everything. And then they started into weight transfer and everything.
Yeah.
So I've seen it grow ever since it started basically in the country.
Well, that was my first experience, was people stepping on. So
Yes.
When did you start pulling?
Well, I started before, when I was a teenager, you know, we'd go to county pulls and stuff. We had a Cockshut 570 that we pulled, and it was real good at pulls and stuff. And we won several pulls just at the county pulls with it and stuff. And then Dad got some 40-20.
Let's back up. That Cockshut, did you drive that thing yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 570s seem to be a good pulling tractor.
It was still a Super 570, and we still have it today.
You do have,
and we still got the John Deere G that Dad pulled years ago too.
Okay.
It was a 1939 model. First year they made them and everything. He
'Cause
traded a mule and a Jeep in for it.
A mule and a Jeep has a big step up.
Exactly.
From a mule. So you probably know of the Carroll family and the Levy Leaper then. They had a 570, and they still pull that thing with the Cockshut motor in it.
Yes.
It's interesting that I run into folks, those 570s were good pulling tractors.
Right, and we made it into a light super, and we pulled it a good while that way. We never really did any good with it. Long story short, my Dad put 2 turbos on it, and my brother road tested it, and it scared him and reared up on him, and he hit the brakes, and it threw him in the ditch and dislocated his hip, rolled over on him. And thankful, you know, he's still here with us today, but he never got back on a pulling tractor. He'll still work on them with us and everything, but he's 4 years younger than me and everything, and he's quite the mechanic and stuff. And when Dad passed away, he took over farming the family farm.
Okay, but he is not. He's not tractor pulled since getting in that seat. And that was on that Cockshut.
Yeah, it was on that Cockshut.
So you guys were just taking it out to try
road test it. You know, back then we didn't have no dynos. The only way was either test it on a sled at a pull or just road test it. And there've been a lot of people that's got, like Bob Brothers got hurt, Alan Moore got hurt. They run it through the barn and stuff where they couldn't stop it, and they got hurt pretty bad. Alan lost an eye, and Bob Brothers, I don't remember what happened to him, but they're all gone now, and they live here in Indiana, and followed them through pulling and everything. They were Allis Chalmers.
Okay, yeah. Because I've heard of different stories. Guys would have that where it would wind up and then get away from them before they could react because it maybe didn't. Without a load behind it, the clutch would grab quicker or something.
Right. They'd take off pretty quick.
So then after the Cockshut, you guys got into a John Deere.
Right. And basically there was a local John Deere dealership that burnt.
Okay.
And Dad bought the remnants of them tractors that were in it, and there was like 340/20s or something like that. And he restored one of them and sold it so he could afford to make a pulling tractor out of the others.
Oh, really?
Yep. And so he did that, and then was pulling it and stuff, and we was having transmission troubles and different things, blowing head gaskets. Back then you didn't have the copper head gaskets you have now, and the fire rings and C-rings.
What year was that? Do you know?
Yeah, that was in the 60s.
And those tractors were new at the time when they burned?
Yes.
So those were brand new tractors?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then my brother, when Dad passed away in 1981, my brother took it over, and that's what they pulled as the Up and Atom John Deere tractor, 4010.
And your family ran that for
years.
Yeah.
Yep. And Neil ran it for years too, until they came out with component chassis for the Superstock class. And both him and I were pulling in the Superstock class. Me with my Equalizer and him with the Up and Atom. And then together we bought an International.
Let's on a couple questions. Your Up and Atom was an AC, right?
No,
that was the John Deere, and then the Equalizer.
4010.
The Equalizer was what?
D21. It was an Allis Chalmers D21.
D21.
Right.
And you built that one, and that was your pulling tractor.
Well, I bought it.
Yeah.
And and converted it into the sheet metal. Basically, it is today and stuff.
Hanging up there, right? And then you ran that in the Superstock class.
Right, and I started pulling it in 86.
86, okay.
Yep, and
who were some of the names you pulled against a lot? Did you pull mostly local in the state of Indiana and into Ohio?
I went to the insurance man, told him I wanted to go within a 600-mile radius, and I wanted the insurance on everything for that 600-mile radius, and that took me all the way to the East Coast, Iowa, Nebraska, that far, and then up into Canada. There was a lot of pulls in Canada we went to and everything. And as far as south as Florida, well, I think we couldn't quite make it 600 miles on Florida. But anyway.
Right. Well, you can. Who's looking?
You need to ask him about how he hauled it.
Okay.
That's an impressive story.
About what?
Well, how you hauled it.
Yeah, how'd you haul that thing?
Well, I was pulling the tractor, and it was a Ron Perry 3-speed transmission, and I pulled it into 7, 9, and 11. Well, actually started out in 12, and then they reduced it down to 11, and then 11 open. So every night at pulls, I would pull it in 4 classes, and I'd almost drag a check every night back then. That was in 86, And
did you? I'm hearing some of you guys actually made money back in that day.
Yes, and that was about the first and only year I made money. I did make money the second years because I won the TNT Points Championship, both the first year I pulled it and the second year, and that was a pretty good prize money and stuff. And they were real good to us and stuff.
But you didn't run NTPA necessarily on the national circuit?
I went whenever I could, when it didn't interfere with the TNT pulls. I just was kind of hooked up with TNT.
Right.
And pulled them. And then they kind of switched over to ATPA, American Tractor Pullers Association.
Because there's another TNT organization down south, I believe, now.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nice part about dropping names like that and saying things like that, if I'm wrong, I'll know here, usually within a day of this episode coming out. People correct me. Let's go back to one. I want to get back to your question on him about how you hauled it. But when you made money, did you make a little money, quite a bit of money?
First year, I had to turn in a W-2 form for $80,000
for tractor pulling, and that covered that was what you earned. So that probably covered all your expenses.
Yes, because that tractor was a good tractor. I probably put over 100 pulls on it and never had to touch it.
Just ran it.
Right.
It was a strong runner.
Of course, that changed real quick.
You started pushing things.
Right.
That's interesting. I can't even imagine. And that's one of the differences. I don't care what type of motorsports, times just change. It's how it is. We're not hooking 4 times in a night. We're hooking basically once.
Exactly.
And so you guys had that opportunity. If you could start finishing in the top 3, you're pulling checks in, and it added up.
And I was throwing weights on the tractor. Sometimes they'd have them consecutive, and I could just keep adding weight to it. But then at the end of the pull, I always had to take the weight off, because the only way I could haul it was I had a bumper hitch trailer.
That's what.
And to get that much weight, I had it all figured out. I had about 4,500 pounds on each axle on the truck I pulled with it, and I had to do that by putting weight on the front bumper
of the truck.
Weight rack on the front bumper of the pickup truck to be able to pull it on that. It was house trailer axle tires and
on the trailer that you were pulling the tractor with.
Right, and it
had a Chevy pickup with a slide-in camper.
With a Marigold slide-in camper, and Danny Dean will tell you all about the slide-in Marigold campers. He's the one that got me onto them.
Oh, really?
Yes,
so he
sir.
had one as well.
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
that was a common thing to be toting tractors around with, back then and stuff. The first trip out, I went to Des Moines, Iowa, to a tractor pull, and on the interstate, my weight was too much on the front end. The suspension didn't like it, and I was bottoming the weights out on the pavement. So I ended up with a little less weight when I got to the pull.
You lost
it off the bottom. No, I didn't lose any. It just scraped it off the bottom.
That's how I heard the story, because I was moving weights for him, and there's international weights with the bottom of them ground off. Mark, what happened here? And he had them on the front of a pickup going down the road, and it just ground the bottom.
Kept grinding them off.
So then I had to put airbags on the front, air shocks, I should say, on the front suspension to help carry that extra weight.
That was the deal back in the day, was those air shocks.
But he had them on the front, the front end.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Gosh, so how long did you pull that bumper hitch trailer till you moved up to something?
Oh my gosh, it's still sitting out here, and I still used it to today. Keep threatening to put extra axles under it and everything, because the house trailer axles, the brakes are terrible.
Well,
and the tires. And I did learn that, when I lost the tread off of a mobile home tire, I could go another 100 miles on the cords before it would blow.
And you probably, I know those guys carry a lot of spares, and that was just where the rim would pop on.
Right.
Is that still what you've got then?
Yep. That's still what's on it today.
So you just carry some spares and away you go.
Right.
We have 2 haulers, but we'll still use that trailer, like if we're just running down to the county fair to make a test pass or something like that.
Okay.
So the tractor won't go down there. He uses it for other stuff around too.
Yeah. Interesting. Gosh, that's and then I seen guys starting to go to semi-trailers. I seen them putting campers, taking the wheels off and setting them down on the flatbed. I think John Klug had that set up, and I remember the first time I seen him roll down the road in that, I was like, he's big time.
Yes.
And today, of course, that's a whole different setup. A lot of these guys, you can convert semi-trailers and make nice haulers out of them. So.
Yes. There's
anyway,
a lot of nice haulers out.
So you pulled that Equalizer for how many years? You started in '86 with it.
86, and I still own the tractor today. And when the Superstock class went to component chassis, I decided to move it to another class. I kind of tried to pull it as a super farm for a while, and I called it Another Chance because I'm too embarrassed to show it that it was the old Equalizer and everything. But
Which you actually sold it in '94, correct?
Right.
And then he bought it back. He sold it in '94 and pulled it at Louisville in the Farmer Senior Show in '95 after he had sold it.
As a super farm?
As a super stock.
Oh.
Yeah. And I actually sold the tractor to Martin Brothers over in Illinois.
Okay.
And then when I sold it to him, I said, if you sell anything off of this or decide to change sheet metal, I'd like to buy the sheet metal back. And I ended up basically buying it back from them piece by piece because they kept replacing things.
Okay.
So
you kept buying the parts, and eventually you got the whole chassis back.
Right. And actually, I still had the rear end and everything that went because they wanted to have rifle drilled bull pinions to feed the spider gears in the differential. And I said, well, it'd be easier for me to start from another rear end and build it for you and do it that way and everything. So that's what I did. I kept the original one and that's what I still have today.
So
Is the
what's on the
original.
tractor now? The original one again?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
you put that back in.
Right.
Was that tractor kind of the one that made you the AC go-to guy?
Well, that, and I pulled against Max Simpson a lot and everything, and we kind of helped each other out and everything, and he, had a pretty good shop and a pretty good reputation and
Right.
such, so that I come up with ideas and I tell him about them, and basically he would sell a camshaft for the super stocks. He called it the Gettinger grind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's what was in my tractor, and I guess I never designed it or anything. It was already in the tractor when I got the tractor.
But it was what you had.
Right, and it made the tractor run good, and there was, he pulled D21 Mino Allis, and it's still here in Indiana. A friend of mine, Phil Overdorf, bought it, and he lives in Tipton. In fact, he wants us to bring it. He wants to bring it here and us finish putting it together. It's a Light Pro also now.
Okay.
So
it's
basically, that's what I'm saying. Since they switched, then I ended up switching from Super Farm to Light Pro.
Okay.
His Equalizer's a Light Pro.
It's a Light Pro now.
Right.
With an ag chassis.
Right.
Correct.
Still ag chassis.
And you're going to keep it an ag chassis? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm never going to change that fact. I mean,
Yeah.
It's still aluminum frame wheels he built back in the 80s.
Oh, really?
86. Yep. Still the
So it's
original
not the
front
tube.
end.
It's not the tube frame then.
No.
It's like a channel
Right.
aluminum.
Well,
right,
it's
that you
flat iron.
Well, that
Six,
you.
half
did.
inch. Yeah, 3/4 inch thick by
Right.
6 inch.
Right.
Flat
Which
iron.
was kind of
aluminum.
the precursor to the tube frames that
Right.
we're using today.
We put
Right.
a suspension axle underneath that.
Okay.
Redone the cage. It's still the same rear end, the same front end he built back in the 80s.
Really?
We've changed gear ratios in it and that stuff, but it's
Yeah.
still
The
that
tractor's still there. Sheet metal.
There's sheet metal's hanging there. And
But
then
it's
he
the
had
same.
Part of it.
the new sheet metal that we've done. He had Scott Takes out in Iowa paint it. Same guy that painted Travis's
Yep.
tractor.
In fact, Scott's got some of my
Underground
sheet
on
metal. Yeah.
studio.
He's actually, Scott, just do a quick shout out. He's actually doing some of my tractor right now.
Awesome.
He's an incredible
He is.
artist
He's
and painter.
he-
Just
unreal.
incredible.
Yep.
He does a lot of stuff with Harleys and other. If
Yep.
anybody needs murals and custom, wants
Mhm.
a high-end custom paint job, he's the man.
Exactly.
Right.
So interesting. Well, I'm glad that tractor came back. One thing that I hear so often is these tractors get parted out. And Scott and Dick Buss had, I don't know if you remember their tractor, they had the Demon Be Gone, and it was, they pulled more locally in Iowa, and then they'd do some of the indoor stuff. I know they were at Indy and Super Pool and some of those, but it was a John Deere. But that thing got parted out for the most part.
Well, that Up and Adam tractor that his
that
brother
got parted
family
out.
had for years, it ended up getting parted.
Klug's tractor got parted out. I think there's just so many of them got parted out over the years. So it's nice to hear that it seems like a lot of the Allises are still intact, and I don't know why that is. Like Brabeck's tractor, I know is down in Tennessee, the Imposter. Yours are, you just mentioned two of them. You have the one and Max Simpson's tractor. So it's nice to see those stick around.
Right.
Somebody needs to step up and create a museum somewhere for all these to put these in.
Yes.
But there's a lot of history in the sport of tractor pulling. Anyway, we're getting off track here a little bit. That tractor, you got it back. You're going to keep pulling it, and that's what you pulled this summer yet.
No. I pulled another customer tractor.
Okay.
Mark pulled the Equalizer a few times this year.
And that's the one you were showing me video of.
No,
that
that
was
was the other tractor that him and I built and everything. We built it from the ground up and stuff, and been working with it for years.
Okay.
Yeah, we built the chassis for Jamie Barnhill in North Carolina.
Okay.
Right.
We built
Okay.
him a tractor, and then it come back this year to get a new motor. Built a new motor. We took it to Blackburns, made good power. It was more than what Jamie felt comfortable handling himself, so I ran it all year for Jamie.
Okay.
We took it to North Carolina when we could, but
Yeah.
we mostly campaigned it locally and everything. And
Right.
he had the same seat at Louisville for 42 years, and he would love to see his tractor go down the track. And so that's why we was campaigning it hard, trying to get him to be able to go, because he's a little older than I am, and he's just having trouble getting around.
Right. Be nice to see him
Right.
do that one more time at least.
Right.
Mark did pull the Equalizer this year some in the Light Pro.
Okay.
Right.
And we're struggling with the AC motor
Right.
at the Power Light
So
Pro.
that's what I was going to ask. You still have an AC motor block?
I did until, well, this. I kept
ran
saying.
this year was the last pass that tractor made with an AC motor.
You ran it?
No.
You did.
I did.
Last one with an AC
Right.
motor. So the motor's out of it now?
Yep. And
And a Detroit setting in it.
Okay, you're putting a Detroit. That's
Right.
the one you mentioned.
And I've got a lot of customers. I build a lot of transmissions out there, all the way from the basically farm stock all the way up to the super stocks, basically. And I've had to change them over the years. And the reason I got into that was because, back up on a story here, I was chasing the points with TNT and come out of the hose one pull. Front end was up in the air and broke the transmission and came down hard and about threw me up over the hood and everything. And that's when we didn't have no seat belts, nothing, no cage or anything, And I called
Did you
Ron.
end up on the hood?
No, not quite, but almost. I
What,
mean, I was
what held
hanging
you?
on.
Just you were able to hang on to the steering
Wheel and yep.
and it kept you. Didn't hurt you though.
No, we did have dead man throttle then, and
You
so
did.
it did go down to nothing, but it over revved before it did go to do that and everything. And I think I blew it up next pull because it
Right.
damaged the rods.
right.
Of course, back then we were still running stock rods and
Right.
basically stock pistons and everything. It's basically a stock 426 motor.
And you were at that point weren't necessarily stroking or counterbalancing yet.
Oh no.
So what? I know there weren't too many dynos back in those days. Do you have any idea what horsepower you would have been pulling out?
That's
of that
what
thing?
we keep talking about and everything. My Light Pro has more power than what my 3-charger Super Stock had back in the day.
Well,
Yeah.
at that time, he's about 900 cc's of fuel.
Yes. See, and
Oh,
so
wow.
now we're
1,200, 1,400
We're
horsepower.
pulling more cc's of that in the light limited.
exactly.
That's what the
Exactly.
limit was back then.
Yeah.
Well, we
Were you running
struggled.
a Sigma pump?
No, that's the
Not
problem.
yet.
That's why we bought the International. It had a Sigma pump on it. And me and Neil, both of us kept wanting to put it on. He wanted to put it on his John Deere, and I wanted to put it on my AC and everything. But neither one of us wanted to pay for it, and so we didn't ever do it. And
So you just bought a complete different tractor.
yeah, and
That's a good way to settle it.
They're running 3 of them.
yeah, and we run 3 of them, and that's the year I blew up at Memphis, Tennessee. Blew the hood off the Equalizer, and basically we had all 3 of them down there, and the International was the only one that came back alive.
So and when you blew the hood off, let's hear that story. What happened on that pass?
Well, I noticed it had a cracked block, and it was the same block that was in it when I bought it. And I don't know how many runs I put on it and stuff, and down there before I pulled it, I noticed it was leaking water at the front right corner. Well, I learned since then, if it's got cracks, you don't want to pull it. Well, we can blow them off now even without cracks.
Yeah,
And so,
right.
It's pretty famous video on YouTube.
Yeah,
Is it really?
It's still on YouTube.
I'm going to have to find that,
Yeah.
take a look at that.
Right.
Full white fire suit.
Yep.
Tractor takes off, blows the hood off of it. He just steps off the side and walks to the side. Don't even look back, just walks away from it.
I think I threw my helmet on the ground.
That's not on the video.
So when it blew the hood off, did the motor separate? I mean, it was the top of the motor went with
Yeah,
it.
it made me
split
sick, and
full
I've
white.
almost run over the head, but it was being drugged down in front of the tractor by the injector lines.
That's what I got to that.
And it would have thrown me for a loop if I'd ran over the head,
Yeah, that could have been a rough
Right,
ride, but it
but there
killed you
wasn't-
quick enough that.
Right. Max Simpson had already blown up 2 or 3. Maybe just 2, or maybe 1. I can't remember.
One, at the same pull, one split the night before, correct?
Yes, and Rob Russell blew his International, and that's why they had all the cameras on me the following day. Well, they just had the cameras on all of them because they missed Rob Russell's blow up.
Oh,
He
really?
lifted
He
the top
split the
off
block.
his block the night before at
And that was an
Memphis pull.
And that was an International, though.
Correct.
And those blocks typically were holding, but you guys were
Well,
more than the ACs.
This is years ago. This was the older International block that didn't
Oh.
Right, there wasn't no Hypermax block or
It
anything.
wasn't-
have right,
They-
or even
Okay.
the good.
it was a stock block then.
Exactly. Yep, and they weren't
Wow.
as,
No, that's the problem with once you get past a certain point with boost, those blocks don't like
No.
they don't like doing business anymore.
Exactly. There's just
What did you do after you blew that motor apart? Did you go to something different at that point, or did you go back with another AC?
went back to another AC and everything. I've been AC ever since, and this
Did you try to do anything to reinforce it, to hold it? You didn't do any?
No.
When it starts leaking water, change the block. That's what he did.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Pull it till it starts leaking water and put another block in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you tried to build any type of girdle system?
We started tying them together in the 2000s, but back in the 90s, he didn't tie them together.
Okay.
Right. And the AC motor is basically good for 1,800 horse. Now I'm guessing that's about all the horsepower I had back in the day with 3 chargers and stuff. And I was tickled to death to get 220 pounds out of the boost out of the 3 chargers, but I guess we was choking them down so bad that it didn't let them run.
Well, and your what pump were you running? A P pump yet?
Yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say about 950 cc's. We kept struggling, not enough fuel, and they finally started coming out with 1150 cc's, and that helped us a bunch and stuff.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah.
But you run that French pump for a while, didn't you?
No, Neil and I never did.
You never put it on it. He's running on other stuff.
Okay.
So that's a cast stigma.
Right.
So Max Simpson's not here to ask. So I'm going to ask you, since you were close to him and ran ACs like he did, and he came up with probably the most famous water system out there. I mean, I run it, and so does probably 80% or 90% everybody else.
Exactly.
How soon, do you know about what year he designed that, and how soon were you able to get your hands on it?
It was during this, it was late 80s he designed that and come out with
Okay.
it. Yeah.
And it's similar to what's being run today.
Yeah, almost the exact same thing. It is. He's had some changes, he changes the diaphragms for the different classes and stuff like that,
But
same basic design.
Same basic design.
Yes.
And he started selling those, and you were able to get your hands on it pretty quick?
Yes.
Okay.
So.
One thing that I find that is amazing to me, back in those days, there were a lot of Allis Chalmers out there. The D21 was, I guess, a heck of a pulling tractor to some degree.
The reason for that is they had a slower road gear, and they were able to handle that road gear, and most tractors was able to go to road gear and stuff, and that's direct and stuff, and internationals were a little bit faster, so they couldn't quite didn't have enough power to handle that. And then that's why they started phasing out, because the internationals kept getting more and more power and was able to handle that.
So what was happening, the internationals were running the torque system, and they were running in third, so you're running your gears, and they couldn't get the gears to hold, basically.
Well, no, they didn't have enough power to turn that fast.
Okay. But your road gear, though, you were also eliminating some of the reduced gears, so you weren't shelling out gears like some of the Deers and the Red guys, right?
Exactly.
Because those guys had to build special gears at some point.
Well, and that's what Mark's kind of famous for, is the Gettinger transmission. He designed the gears. He was starting down that path when he was talking about he broke the transmission. Then he started. He talked to Ron Perry and had a gentleman's agreement that he could do it, and he made his own gears for the Gettinger transmission, like up there.
Okay, and so then
that helps the D21 or 210, 220. The transmission is short and small, so they don't have the shaft problems like the International and that stuff. It's a very good design for tractor pulling, and he was able to modify it, make his own gears to make it live, get you pretty much any ratio you want.
We still had the same transmission in Jamie Barnhill's, which named Rare Breed is what the name of his tractor is and stuff. And
so do you still have those transmissions out?
Oh yeah, he builds them all the time.
Almost every AC out there has probably got either mine or Ron Perry's transmission and stuff. And
we very seldom come across the Perry transmission anymore. I would say,
so you guys aren't well, and that's too short probably, but you're not putting an Atlas or a Profab.
There is a couple ACs that has an Atlas or a Profab in it. You can hog out the side of that. You have to do some work to the rear.
I was going to say it'd have to.
But his transmission, I mean, he makes the gears wide. It'll hold 3,000 horse.
I kept having to widen the gears. Started out with about 1 inch wide gears, and now we're up to 2 1/4, 2.5 is what we are. And I had to do away with some gears to get that in there. The hardest class on my gears is a super farm class.
Really?
Yes, they got so much darn torque.
And the class is heavy, so it's up to the track good.
Right.
Putting a lot of work on it.
And that's the main ones that are going to Profab transmissions.
Okay.
Super farm tractors.
Right.
Either SCS or Profab.
Right. So what international, let's go to that tractor a little bit. What international did you guys buy and pull? Was it a 1066 or what?
No, it was a 3688 new sheet metal, but it was 1066 rear end.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was,
And then you guys, was the chassis?
I can't remember the guy's name that we bought it off, but he won the NTPA championship with it a couple years, beat Klug and everything, you know.
Oh, really?
And then he kind of parked it, and then he basically came up for sale, and Neil and I thought it was a pretty good buy, and after we blew up at Louisville Memphis, we decided that we couldn't handle three, so we put all three of them up for sale, and we was going to sell whichever one wanted to go. And of course, it was the International
that sold.
Yeah.
So then you were back to the John Deere and the Allis.
Right.
Interesting, but you don't remember the name of the guy that owned that tractor?
I want to say Cronkleton, and I might be right about that, but I don't know. I wish my brother Neil was here.
Well, if somebody out there's listening and you know where that tractor's at, know anything about it, please drop it in the comments and let us know. I'd like to know where it's at. Did it have a tube chassis?
We sold it to the Bray family up in New York.
Okay.
And he pulled it several years, and I've lost track of where it went from there. I don't know if he still has it, or I don't think he does. I think he ended up selling it and stuff.
We'll probably find out through all this where it went. A lot of times we get the information on those tractors.
Right.
Breaking Barriers podcast is funded by Gary Bontrager Consulting. Gary Bontrager Consulting does a lot with systems and processes to facilitate growth in your company. We also work a lot with conflict mediation, perpetuation planning from one generation to the next, or one business owner to the next. If you want more information on that, you can look us up on Facebook and also out on our website at www.garybontrager.com. We want to thank Bob Parks with Custom Tire Cutting and the Parks Pullers for supporting the Breaking Barriers podcast. Their product speaks for itself. It has helped us get many wins, as well as many other pullers out there. Check them out and try their product. You will not be disappointed. Thanks again for your support at Breaking Barriers podcast. So it had the 66 rear end. Did it have still the channel frame and all that, or was it updated by then to something different?
No, it's still basically the channel frame.
Yeah.
And we had trouble with it right off the bat, tore up the transmission, and this differential, that was a weak point on the Internationals. They had to put in the needle it and go with the billet planetary. Billet case for the ring gear.
Yep.
And so we had to do that and everything. We got it running pretty good and stuff. And even Klug gave us a compliment one pull. Said, "You guys got that thing running pretty good."
Yeah.
So
he was kind of a benchmark. I think if I've done my research correctly, he had won 12 championships in the NTPA.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe Danny Dean had won 11.
I think you're right.
And Danny Dean was maybe coming on a little bit when Klug was starting to phase out a little, but still, that's a lot of titles between two tractors.
Oh, yes, exactly.
And I don't even know the other hyper guys that won, but that was a game changer in tractor pulling when that era began.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess that's where, with the Allis and the Deers, were you running? What head did you run? Because I know a lot of the Deer guys started to go to Indy heads. In fact, I think Dick and Scott Buss ended up with a crossflow Indy head, and there was one other out there like that.
He's got an Indy Allis head sitting right back here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you went to Indy head as well?
Well, not then. When I was pulling in the super stock class, I was still using the stock head and started filling it with cast iron and stuff, trying to make it last and stuff. I was having to change the head almost twice a year, at least, just to make it through the season.
So you were cutting the water out of the head at that point,
right?
And filling it with casting just so you could do more porting on it and open up some ports?
No, just to hold it together, because they just crack apart.
Okay.
Sometimes you take it off in 3 pieces, maybe more.
Oh gosh, it'd break that bad.
Yes, they would break that bad.
And that was with about 220 pounds of boost,
right?
3 turbos,
right?
You were competitive though with that, weren't you? You were winning with it.
Yep. I think the best I ever did at Louisville, I got third one year at Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the winner's circle once. My brother has been in it several times.
Okay.
But back to your question, he went to Bob Himes out in the other side of Indianapolis.
Okay.
Designed and built a billet head and everything.
Recast
and
head for.
Recast, basically. Yeah, not.
And that wasn't an Indy then. It was.
No, that's after Bob worked for Indy for a while. Then
but that was not an aluminum then. It was a recast.
Right.
Cast iron head.
Right. The one back there is aluminum.
Is an aluminum.
Yeah, it's just.
Those pose their own problems from what I've talked to everybody that had them just from the heat transfer. They work better, I think, on alcohol tractors, but the diesels, you had so much expansion and contraction that caused some problems there. Gosh, I was going to ask you then, when you got that recast head, I mean, did that make quite a difference on horsepower too?
Oh, yeah. And Neil was the first one to get one, and that's what made me go to it, you know. And on his Up and Atom John Deere, he got one, and they flow so much better.
Okay.
And they stay together. I mean, the first one that Bob ever built is still out there today.
So Neil got one for the John Deere.
Right.
There was, I was thinking an Allis there. That's fine. Neil's your brother.
Right.
Right, yeah. How long did you guys run that Allis and that John Deere till you guys went somewhere else, went another direction?
We up until
94, wasn't it? When you sold it first time?
No, it was in late 80s that I sold it, but I built another one and was pulling it and made it to Louisville with it one year and stuff, but I was trying to pull 4 turbos and I couldn't make 4 turbos work on it.
Yeah, couldn't get enough air? Or?
It wasn't the right air. It just kept going halfway down the track and giving out.
Yeah. So when Jerry Lagarde started with Hyper, he changed the game for a lot of the international guys. You were sitting here on the AC side. I know John Deere, and I know there were guys that were trying to get Jerry to do things for other brands, but what did you other brands do to kind of combat or compete with those guys when he started stepping that up? Were you guys looking at a lot of what they were doing and trying to emulate it?
Exactly, and Neil did go to a Sigma pump on his Up and Atom and stuff, and that made a lot of difference.
Did it?
Yes.
Yeah. I've just heard those Sigma pumps were really a great pump, and still are.
Always had them. Dickie Sullivan had it. You know, there was a lot of Sigma pumps out there on the internationals that back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the John Deeres were getting them too.
Yeah.
Rops had it, Buses had it, that I knew of in our area. There was quite a few. That Sigma pump it's a game changer.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then you eventually got one as well?
Nope, I never did get a Sigma. Nope.
He quit pulling super stock.
Okay. And then you just started backing off.
Yeah, because the Light Pro, they only allowed the 7100, which is a stock.
So when you went to Light Pro, what were like the rules? What were those tractors like? Because at that point, that was a spin-off of the Pro stock, right?
He actually went to, like we were saying before, he quit pulling for a gap there. He was just building transmissions. When he quit pulling super stock, he built a super farm, pulled it for a couple years, basically sold it off, right?
Right.
What year would that have been? Like what era?
That's all through
the
90s.
Okay.
Yeah, through the 90s.
Okay.
He was so busy building transmissions, building motors for other people, that stuff, he wasn't pulling.
Wasn't pulling too much.
Too much, right.
And then we got back in, after I met him, then he got back in. We pulled like an altered farm, just a local county fair stuff.
Yeah.
Open rules kind of deal. And then put hot farm. We both pulled hot farm for 2 years, won the points one year in that, NTPA points in the hot farm.
Oh,
with
okay.
The D21.
With an AC and an AC motor.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
then,
well, you had the technology, years of experience.
Well, the parts.
Yeah, you had the parts.
Yeah.
Then we went to Light Pro in 18. We started putting together 2 Light Pros, but my life was busy, his life was busy. So we actually just pulled intermittently since then.
Okay.
Yeah,
Until this year.
I was holding a full-time job and building these, and it was keeping me hopping and stuff. And how I met Tylan was I heard that he was putting a dyno in, and I called him up to ask him, you know, and we just hit it off. And while I was working, I was building engines too, and he was taking them to the dyno for me. We had a dyno in
We go down here to
Rushville,
Martlette's.
and I wore him out.
But do you have a dyno then?
I do not. I ordered a dyno, and in the process of it coming in, farm I live on now come up for sale. So I canceled dyno order, bought another farm.
Probably
smart.
Probably a good move
Yes.
long term.
Yes.
But Mark sent me that one summer. It was 13 weeks in a row. I was at dyno. I got 3 kids now. 2 of them were young at the time. Carrying one of them, she would sit in the dyno room in the car seat at Marlette's while he's running it on the dyno.
That's a game. That was a game changer, wasn't it? The dyno.
Oh yeah, we found out that we didn't. We had a lot of trouble.
Oh really?
The dyno is what made tractor pulling where you can go and pull.
Right.
It evened the playing field for a lot of.
I would agree.
Pullers.
I would agree. It's it brought reliability to the sport tremendously.
That's what
a lot more, yes.
Yeah. Trial and error was kind of happening over there, and it wasn't coming out on the track.
People in the driveway,
right?
Like his brother and that.
Yeah,
stuff.
it wouldn't hurt people in the driveway. It wasn't hurting as many people in the stands. I mean, I've heard doing these podcasts. I hear some crazy stories. It's a miracle that we haven't had casualties from even on track accidents.
Right.
But so that was a game changer. What'd you learn about the AC motor on the dyno? 1,800 horse is the limit. Is that what you learned?
Exactly.
We've pushed them beyond that, but it's constant work.
Okay.
It's, well, Stramick, he's made well over 1,800 horse and made them last, but it's the
he had them
amount of
tied
work
together with the Simpson. Simpson's the first one to start tying them together and stuff. And
he did. Okay,
yes,
he did have a system.
And we tie the AC motors together too. It's just once you get in a class that's beyond that, it's
you're limited on power you can push.
Right. The amount of money you got to put in it and time to put in it to keep that motor together is just not feasible anymore.
Right. So. You mentioned you're building a Detroit going into one of your light pros.
Yes.
Is that right?
Well,
why a Detroit? I hear a lot of people using Cummins, then they'll use International.
Because it's almost the same block as an International motor.
We can run the 400 series head, we can run the 400 series camshaft.
Oh, really?
Yes,
we build
sir.
our own front cover so we can use a 400 series camshaft.
Basically, it's a metric version of the IH motor.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's basically like the...
That's a 466E.
Okay.
The new generation block.
Okay, so I know now what you're talking about. I was thinking you were running something different. No, I know what. In fact, there's others of those out there.
Right.
Right. And
the reason they're called a Detroit is when AGCO started in 93, they didn't have an engine plant.
And they pulled those
They
in.
bought it through Penske. Penske's the guy that labeled it as a 40 series Detroit.
Okay.
And it's the engine that's in like a 96, 95, and 96.
In the AGCOs, the early AGCOs when they first came
out. And they would have had roller lifters probably at that point.
Yeah,
so
just like they are.
Just a spin-off of the 466 bus motor.
It's the block that replaced the 466.
Yeah. Nope, I got it. There's some other ACs with those in it now that I understand what you're talking about. When you said Detroit, you had me.
We experimented with the 8.3 block. 8.3, very good bottom end. Cylinder head wise, the research and technology is not there done like the 400 series head.
And here you can buy recast heads and do what you need to do with it.
Recast blocks.
Right.
Yeah.
We can back behind the red guy.
We can't really yet because it's still considered a replacement engine. Detroit is, for the ACs. So in an ag chassis, it's technically not legal to run an IH block in an AC motor or tractor.
Right.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's why they're going with this, this block.
Basically, there's like 3 different replacement motors for the 426 AC motor. When they closed the doors in 1985, they built the AGCOs and they built them with Cummins.
Well, when the AGCO started, then they bought white.
Yes.
That allowed 8.3 Cummins in.
Okay.
And then both of those engines were replaced when AGCO bought the Sisu plant.
Right.
And so we can run any of those 3. We can run a 426 Allis, the 40 series Detroit, new generation 4, and then 8.3 Cummins or 5.9 Cummins.
Yep.
Right.
And then the Sisu engine.
Okay. So. Interesting. So just through what you were doing with a lot of the Allises to get reliability is really what started you building parts or transmissions and engines for these other guys?
Yeah, I just had a lot of demand for it. I mean, the mile an hour class was hitting hard there a couple years ago and everything. And there's still several of them out there and stuff, but it's kind of slowed down. Had another one that I built this last summer, and he's going to come out with it next year.
Okay.
Last year, I think you still built 8 transmissions last year.
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah. And if you're needing sheet metal, you still have sheet metal for those tractors? We have
people that break hoods for us and we have quite a few D21 hoods on hand and side panels
and fenders
and all that stuff.
Just basically mostly D21 stuff.
And that's all aluminum now?
Yes.
Right. Yep. And interesting. That's That's getting to be the hot thing too, just so you get weight transfer and that. Allis rear ends, you're still running those on a lot of ag chassis.
Right.
They
modified them, added an internal bearing in it.
Yeah, the Allis Chalmers built them they were about the only tractor they built that didn't have the internal bearing on the end of the axle. Both bearings were in the axle housing, and the rear end housing is so weak that it was tipping and letting the bull gears and bull pinions separate and driving it off the corner and tearing it up. And hoe handle was the first one, and well, the tractor became hoe handle. It used to be Pepsi.
Okay.
Which and he put braces from the back end down with turnbuckles to keep those axles
from collapsing.
From collapsing and everything. And he was designed that and built that, and that helped a bunch, you know.
So you put that in those.
We never did that. We just went ahead and put there is an inner wall on the D21 rear end, which a lot of people take out to lighten up to get in the limited super stock class.
Okay.
And but we just modified it so that you can put that inner bearing, and then you have to make an axle and stuff with the stub on it and stuff to.
How'd you learn how to do all the machine work and run a lathe and all that stuff?
Just watching and learning, and I got a mill and a lathe. Say what?
Breaking lots of parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting because we get into this stuff. I talk to a lot of these guys, you know, by all rights, you're an engineer. Well, and, you know, somebody should probably give you an honorary degree, but, you know, that happens with a lot of that. Guys just did it out of necessity. I've interviewed folks that have taken a block of aluminum. I mean, the Sipes family down in, I think they're in Kentucky. They just bought a mill and needed a different head, and they started cutting on it and made it, and took it in, got the seats put in it.
Right.
You know? He put international cranks in AC motors.
Yeah.
Really?
That was the first motor. When Mark and I met, there's a long story, but he was busy and he had me build one of the engines, and they come to my shop and had an international crank and an AC block.
And you're sitting there looking at that going, what the heck is this?
I've done a lot of grinding, I'll put it that way. That one was...
Had the machine,
672 cubic inch motor.
Right. That was the only way I could make a 672 cubic inch motor out of an AC block.
Is if you put an international crank in.
Because AC has got 3 and 3, and with a gap in the middle between that's where the main bearing is on the AC crank and the stuff. And that was where the main problem was that I had in the beginning. We didn't have counterweighted cranks. The early ACs were non-counterweighted cranks. Well, they came out with the N7.
The West German crank,
and it was counterweighted and everything. Well, because 3 and 4 go up and down all the time, it was knocking out that center main.
Right.
Which was the thrust main on an AC.
Right.
So when we put an international crank in, we move the thrust to the rear like international is.
Exactly.
And then it evens out the bore spacing.
And then
even out the bore spacing, so I can get 4 7/8 bore in the AC block.
Because I knew there's reasons guys didn't like the AC block because they were custom cranks.
Well, and the camshaft's low, so you can't get a lot of stroke.
Right.
And then the way the crank's set up.
So on the crank, were you doing a lot of the welding on the counterbalance?
I had a friend that was doing it for me.
Okay, yes. And then he'd balance it out.
And that's Doug Huffman and bluffed it near Pinto.
Middle of nowhere, Indiana.
Yeah. Well, in the Midwest, there's a lot of those places.
Right. And his tractor was Iron Horse.
Yeah, he still has a super stock called Iron Horse. Doug Huffman.
It's 210.
Oh, okay.
Two brothers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember
and
seeing
he would weld
out.
it up in a little shop, and he worked for a machine shop at the time, didn't he?
Yes.
And,
well, he worked for an AGCO dealer. I mean, Allis Chalmers dealer, and then he,
But then he went to machine shop when he was doing the cranks.
Right.
Yeah.
How'd you two meet and get together? I mean, what was kind of it was just through the tractor pulling?
Well, I worked for an Allis Chalmers dealership. And, and my boss, he tractor pulled back in the 80s. He put in a light super called Lowrider. It was a 8180.
Okay.
Dean Stanky.
Right. He's since passed away. But anyways, I ended up buying a pulling tractor out of Illinois. And first thing I needed, to fit the class rules around here, I needed an A pump. Okay. And Weimer's was a little year wait on an A pump, so I talked to Dean about it, and he said, call Mark up. He might have one. So I remember first conversation, I called Mark. Mark says, yeah, I got an A pump. You can come get it and use it. And I said, will you sell it to me? He said, no, I can't sell it to you. It's for a project. I'm like, all right. So I come over here, and I met Mark, and I took the P pump off because I didn't feel right borrowing pump from somebody didn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm only talking to him on the phone. So I gave him the P pump as collateral, and I told him, I said, give me a price on this pump in case I break it. I got to know I can afford to pay for it. And put a pump on it. I got second in points that year. I missed the first hook because I had the wrong pump on it. They wouldn't let me pull.
Oh, okay.
And halfway through the year, I needed a Gettinger it already had a Gettinger transmission in it, but I needed faster gears.
Right.
Halfway through that year, I had him modify the transmission to go faster. And we've just been friends ever since. I live about 25 miles away. My shop's about 40 miles away.
Okay.
And
so
we like the same stuff. We think a lot alike.
So you work on a lot of pulling tractors too, or ACs?
I actually, my shop was work on diesel pickups.
Oh, okay.
I'm a small trucking company, farm a little bit.
Ford is his main living.
What's that?
Ford is his
Ford?
living.
Yeah, I've known for Ford pickups.
Okay.
Was very, very busy at that.
But he works on all of them.
The pulling tractor stuff's the passion. That's what I'm here for.
Well, the whole truck thing's a whole nother deal.
And it's
diesel stuff there, but
still work on some, but nothing like it used to.
Yeah. So. Well, it's changed a lot too. It's people don't modify them like they did, and they couldn't for a long time, and that's hopefully changing. You've pulled for what, 40, 50 years?
Mm-hmm.
More than that, probably.
Ever since I was 18, and I'm almost 78 now. So what's that? 60 years.
60 years.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on where the sport was when you started and where it's at today?
Changed a bunch.
You like it? You don't like it?
Well, it's all been for the better. I mean, safety regulations and everything. I mean, it was unreal. We was getting some people hurt and stuff. We even lost a couple, because they got, I think it was at Toma, got run over. I can't remember his name. He was a Oliver with a cat motor in it and on alcohol. And
did you see that happen?
Donaldson, I think was his name. And no, I didn't see it.
You didn't see that?
No,
okay.
I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. Have you seen any accidents though over the years?
No, other than your own, off.
Other than yours, the ones you were sitting behind.
Well, I've seen several others since. Yes, too.
Yeah.
As Lane did it also.
Oh, he did too.
Yeah, when we was pulling together against each other and stuff, and that booger had his running again the next day.
Really?
Yes, sir. He blew that motor apart, but he was carrying a lot of parts with him and stuff. So.
Right. I've heard he was one of those grassroots, working hard, doing with what he had, and
he knew.
Good guy.
Yes, he is.
So
everybody in the tractor pulling world is terrific people.
If you could do something over and do it differently, what would it be?
Don't ask me that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me one. Something that comes to mind in the tractor pulling. We're not going to get into...
If I had more money, I would have spent it.
So it's a little bit like a drug. It just gets in your blood.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yep. You already alluded to the good people. That goes without saying, I think. I think when I go and interview these folks, that comes up all the time. I was involved in a lot of different types of motorsports. I can tell you that's the reason I came back to tractor pulling, and it's almost dumbfounding to me how good they are to each other. They'll want to beat you, but I've never seen somebody roll up.
They'll help you out.
Yeah, I've never seen at a tractor pull somebody roll up their sleeves and start throwing down. I mean, and I've seen it in about every other sport I've been involved in.
Exactly.
Well, and they'll loan you a part.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
I popped a turbo last winter and had a guy from Western Iowa I'd never met before walk right up and offer me another one, and I'm like, I just beat you.
Right.
Exactly.
How does that happen?
Exactly.
And so the quality of the people, it restores a lot of faith.
Yes.
In our country when you get into this sport.
Exactly.
All the way from fans.
Right.
I mean, I'm just shocked at how loyal and much these fans care.
Dedicated the fans are. Exactly.
If you could change something in the sport of tractor pulling at this point, what would it be?
Well, I wish we could make it more like, I don't know. Right now, I think we got too many classes, and we need to concentrate and focus on more, individual classes. But I can see why they went that way, because we're getting so many tractors out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not blaming them. Don't get me wrong.
No, I guess that's probably, if I would echo that, if we maybe have too many classes, maybe the other side of that is I'd like to see a lot of these organizations unify. That's probably my frustration. It's one reason I picked the class I I'm in.
Exactly.
But I can't go pull with NTPA on anything,
Right.
even if it's their lower level classes. They don't have it. And
Right.
so there's times you'd like to try to get in somewhere. I'd like to, because I hear guys like you talk about Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm sitting here going, I don't know how I'm ever going to get there.
Right.
You know, because I'd just like to check that off the list. Like, I've been there.
Well, Mark and I have had a lot of conversations on what way we want to pull, what class we want to pull, where do we want to go.
We keep changing our minds and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Well, we made a bucket list. I mean, he's already hit all of them, but
but for you,
I got a bucket list,
yeah.
and so then we kind of pick a class that we could possibly get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, I've never pulled at Toma.
Right.
Light Pro,
right.
I can go to Toma.
And that's the thing. You got the 6.0 Pro stocks, the 5.0 Pro stocks with component, 5.0s with ag, and then you got the 4.1s who can pretty much run with the 5.0 ag, and that should maybe be combined now. I don't know.
Right. Well, now 4.1s are Grand National class.
Yeah, so it is now a Grand National class. So
and then Light Pro's
be,
going component. And,
so it maybe it'll kind of melt 3 into 2 classes there. Is probably what'll happen, and of course the 4.1s kind of took over a lot of super farms,
Mm-hmm.
and
so it's kind of like the light limited super stock. I mean, you got several different engine variations that you can have, different turbo sizes and different cubic inches and stuff. And I guess you could combine the limited pro and the light pro together because they're that way.
Right.
Well, that light limited super class. That class appealed to us, and we've built a lot of parts and for that class, but it's back to where you're just talking about the organizations with different rules.
Yeah.
At the time we was looking at that class, there was so many different. They're starting to get better with it.
They are. Yes.
That turned us away from going that route.
Right.
We wanted to build something that we could pull all over the place.
Well, and I think like Battle of Bluegrass, this coming year, you're going to be able to run component with the light limited supers. I hear the Outlaws might be going that way. There's some different ones, but it's hard to keep the rear ends together at this point with the horsepower they have. And it would be nice if, well, actually Outlaws doesn't even have that class. They've got the light supers, I guess. They don't have the light limited. Maybe it was PPL or somebody else. I was hearing some other organizations that are going that direction. But sitting behind us, you are building another one though.
Right, and originally we was gonna, and I still may, I don't know, I got the motor for it and everything. I was, Neil and I used to pull together, and we had fun competing against each other and stuff. And I asked him, I said, how would you like me to get back into your class, and we pull against each other? And he said, I'd love it, and stuff. Well, that's mainly what I bought it for and everything, and I got piecing together a long motor to go alcohol and just be with him on the with lessons learned, just be the same tractor basically,
right?
But it just be Agco sheet metal. And when he won the championships and was struggling keeping the diesel motor together in the up and atom and stuff, and he just thought it would be less work. He was just having to work on it all the time.
Right.
It wasn't for me helping him and other family. My brother Steve, the one that won't pull anymore.
Right.
All of us would. I got 4 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the oldest of 7. But anyway, we'd all help him work on that together and stuff. But anyway, he wanted to go to alcohol because he thought it'd be less work. Well, he said that's not true.
It's not true. I've had guys tell me the alcohol's cheaper to run.
I don't know. See that.
Yes. Just from the pump point of view.
The fuel system for a diesel is so expensive, but the fuel system for an alky is expensive too.
Yeah,
that's the turbo stuff. You could typically buy a fuel system and turbos for what you'd pay on just a fuel system.
Right. So it does cut back.
And the parts live a whole lot longer.
Right. You're not running the heat.
Not running the 400 pounds of boost.
Right. It's a complete different setup.
And I'm probably still going to put this together as a...
that's what started us down that road.
Was this one.
Right. Mark's getting older, and we had that conversation, and he said, favorite time of my life when we was running together. I said,
yeah.
And we'd like to, try to, like he says, go to Toma and just hit several...
Make some of those passes.
And everything. And we're real happy that they made Superstar, or
4.1s or the limited
Grand National class out of the. They didn't make like Pro Grand National yet.
No, we wish they would.
They would, yeah, because we would love to go to Bowling Green.
Yeah,
we was dead set on the heavy super until Jamie provided me that opportunity to run that light pro.
Yeah.
Which we was already going light pro that direction until we like, well, we're just going to quit and do one and go national. And then the people we met and the fun we had with light pro this year has us questioning whether this is going to be a super stock or whether it's going to be a light pro.
Yeah, they're real nice people, and it's just a fun class. It's a fun ride.
You know, that's the thing, though, you find in a lot of those classes. There's so many good people in it.
Yes.
And it really, and you guys pulled locally mostly?
We pulled North Carolina, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio.
Okay.
With the light pro this year.
All right. If you could change one thing today, though, what would it be?
What do you think?
He's asking you.
I'm asking you. You've seen it. You've 60 years of this. You've seen a lot. If you could change one thing.
Just one day?
Yeah. Just one. There's a lot, but what's one that comes to mind?
Oh. I don't know. It's just, it's getting to be too expensive. I mean, the competition is really tough and everything. And used to be that the shade tree mechanic could really do something and everything. And so there's really not much you can change, you know. It just is, it is. And I think it's good sport, and I really love it. And I would love to see it get like NASCAR, you know, which is what they tried and everything. But, you know, kind of NASCAR is even going downhill now.
Well, they certainly have. That's a topic all of its own. I see you shaking your head when he said that. Shaking it no.
I don't want to be like NASCAR.
I agree with you. The thing I don't want to see is that we get to, and I watch like NHRA some too, where we get like the pro stocks and the super stocks where they're tearing them down after every pass and having a full crew. And
that's like running an AC.
And then it's, but you're going to end up, the expense, and it changes the whole sport. At this point, I hear what you're saying from where you're at, but at the same time, a guy like me can buy parts that are reliable, and I can run them for a number of years, where you guys, could work on them and make them, but you were trial and error breaking stuff too.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think what he's getting at, like he'd like to get it like NASCAR's. He likes the big pulls like Bowling Green. He likes the Toma.
Exactly.
He likes the big environment with the TV exposure, the fans there.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's getting at.
Exactly.
I don't think
I'm shaking my head no to the NASCAR part because I don't like the car tomorrow. I don't like any engine and any sheet metal. I don't like that stuff. I like the older stuff.
They look like, frankly, they look like crap, in my opinion. They don't look like what they started out to be. They lost their way in what they were starting to do, and that was sell cars on Monday.
Very true.
Right.
And I think tractors could go down that route or could not. I purposely try to keep mine looking very stock for the very reason I want it to look like it rolled out.
We're that way too. We want to try to make it look
I don't try to make some crazy stuff out of it. And even my paint scheme is as generic, original as it can be.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And that's why I do that. But definitely the thing that I would come back to might be the unification of classes, where you can jump into some of these others. And,
exactly.
Organizations work good together.
Right. So, well, Mark, I want to thank you for sure for opening up your shop and letting us in. I appreciate you coming up and joining us. I know you guys work together.
I mean, he knows on the left.
Well, I understand, but I mean, you need people like that in our life. I mean, when it comes down to it, everything. The reason I'm into the sport is because of my son, and we can work together at it. Right. The reason you guys are doing it is for the same reason.
Exactly.
You guys are like father and son, and it's just special to see that. And then the friends we make along the way. But,
exactly.
I'll just tell the camera this: if you guys need AC sheet metal, transmissions, any parts, Mark's your man. He can set it up. There's still a lot of ACs out there, and we appreciate what you do and what you've contributed. I think it goes without saying, if we don't continue, us, I'm going to say younger guys, continue to promote and do these things, guys like you aren't going to get the due respect. I mean, you just tell us all the things that have happened. We as a sport owe you some honor for what you've developed for us.
Well, I appreciate that and everything. I mean, when Max Simpson died, there was a lot of people turned to me when he passed away to get the technology and knowledge and stuff. And it's just hard to do. You know? It's just getting the time, and I'm getting to the age where I don't have near the reflexes I had and everything. And I keep thinking about Jerry Van Dorpy. He was a big puller and stuff, and I think he pulled until he was 82 or something like that. And so looking at it that way, I only got a couple more years left.
Well, Wayne
I can't handle it near like I did. The Light Pro is, I've tried pulling the his tractor basically several times, and I haven't got control of it yet. You know, it's just, I can't.
Wayne Longnecker's still sitting on his modified, and he's 79.
Well, there
he says
go.
he doesn't have any plans of quitting, so.
He's 77.
Yeah, 77. So you got quite a few years left in you.
Right.
It just gets something you're comfortable with. But,
right.
So.
Well, and that's why we're thinking about switching to the Limited Pro with a little bit more weight. We just got so much, it's too light on the front end.
The Light Pro's going component, probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be more under control.
Right.
And that's
right. There's been a lot of breakage over the years.
We're thinking about taking even the Equalizer possibly and switching it to a Limited Pro so we have the 9,500 pound and have something that's
you can work with.
Correct.
Right.
Still with an ag chassis.
Right.
The component thing's kind of double-edged sword for Mark. The components are good for reliability and but for a guy that builds transmissions and rear ends and that stuff,
it doesn't do him any good.
Right. No, I don't blame him for going component though.
No.
They use so much lighter and so much easier to work on.
Right. No, I understand that. Want to thank you for joining us on another episode of Breaking Barriers. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the comments. If you have photos or anything from Mark back in the day, share those as well. Thank you for joining us on Breaking Barriers.
Breaking Barriers.